Hi everyone, welcome back to this month's 4-way project, which is ultra thin ball, or thin as we dare to go. Some minimum parameters are 6x3 dimensions of the ball, and what I've went for is sort of a rounded base, which you'll see, and it turned out quite okay. I feel I could go maybe half of that thickness, even more, but I wasn't quite sure. I haven't done this like ultra thin, and especially in this kind of technique, haven't done it in a while. So you'll see towards the end how you can thin it really down, and quite safely as well. So stay tuned, and please don't forget there will be links down below in the description of the video of Sam, Mike and Richard's version as well. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy. To rough this down, I'm going to use this 16mm ball gouge. This one is from GURTOOL. Get the corner off so I can increase the speed a little bit more. And I'm going to true up the top here. Now I can remove the tailstock. The blank is nice and true, and consider the shape that I want. So somewhere there, I think that's okay size, yeah, just right. It's just a matter of shaping this so I get the nice flowing curve underneath the foot here. The nice pleasing shape. Yeah, I think that will be okay. Now actually I can do one shear cut, nice clean cut. So here I'm getting a little over tool rest too much. Okay, so that's really nice surface, but actually what I'm going to do is just refine it a little bit using scrapers. You can see that's really nice, and really nice discoloration in this ash. And you don't get to see a lot of times like this sort of a spalted ash. It usually doesn't want to spalt as nice as beech or maple, but this one, I'm not sure why, what encouraged it to receive all this fungus on it, but works and looks really great. So now, like I said, I'm just going to refine this, although it's really there. Just going to refine it here where it meets the it will meet the base, and with the scraper, and just going to shear scrape it if there is any lump. And I want to cut the foot here. I want to use the spindle gouge to cut the foot here, nice and accurate. And now I can refine the surface up to that foot with scraper. So the long-term viewer have a really good question on one of my videos where I use the shear scraper, and now he's in a sort of a different situation where I believe he's sitting down and turning because of some of the health issues. Now his concern is, will the scraper catch if he uses this, or how to prevent from the catches when you use it as a shear scraper, and how much downward pressure am I using to hold the scraper here. And now first of all, when you're using the shear scraper, you want to use from the middle section down this portion of the edge. So if I'm going like this, then I'm using this portion. If this was sort of a spear point scraper, then you can use this portion, this right portion, but again you will have to use this portion only. Do not go past the halfway point. So in this case, you can see here where the dust maybe is coming from. I'm using from the middle of the scraper down to the leading edge like this, this portion of the edge. If you do that, if you don't go to the upper edge here, then you're okay. If it grabs here, then obviously you will have a catch, much like with the skew. His other concern is how much downward pressure am I using here, and will he be able to use the scraper properly. And now this is one of the great things about shear scrapers, and this is where I actually consider it maybe as safe as negative rake scrapers, in terms of that it doesn't feed itself. When you tilt it up on its side, now it doesn't want to feed itself in. And you can see here I'm not actually holding it pushing really down. I'm just holding it so at this position, and this is all you have to do. Again, holding it by the end of the handle, or you can usually I will hold it here at the ferrule, but he stated that usually he holds the tool by the end of the handle. So in this case I'm going to hold it at the end of the handle, and just like I said, just a little, you just grabbing it here at the blade and just lightly go over the surface. When you shear scraping, then you're really just finessing the surface, and you really don't want to be too aggressive when you shear scraping. It's not that you cannot be, you can, but there's no point. So you can see I might even be able to do this with just one hand. So my hand here, my left hand is on the tool rest. So you can see, maybe you can see it's jumping around a little bit. So if I put a little bit pressure here, or here actually, a little better, you can see I'm now stabilizing it so it doesn't bounce around. So just a little pressure, downward pressure, just by weight of your hand will be enough to control the shear scraper here. Again, using the bottom portion of the edge, there's a little lump here, There you go. So hope this will answer your question. And so again, I'm using a ball gouge. I can increase the speed a little bit more since it's running nice and true. So 1200 RPM. And like I said, I'm going to core this out. Now you might notice here there is a bowl saver Max 4 from WOODCUT. Now this particular one here has a machining issue, and frankly I'm actually not too happy about it, but we'll see what the future will hold in terms of that. But for now, since my McNaughton system has a 1-inch post and have here a 30mm post, so I'm going to use this one. This is Sorby slicer. I haven't used this one in a while. I bought it like 2-3 years ago, and I usually use it for deeper bowls, and it's like a big parting tool. You have to make the room for the slicer, because it's thin here at the very end. It's actually quite hot, but it gets really thick as you go down, so you have to make the room for it. I think I'm already there. There we go. So nice little core out. I hope you can see this. What I have here is a little sketch out or a profile of the bowl. Now the way I like to do this thin profile is I do it in increments. So I don't go incrementally thinner and thinner all the way down to the bottom. I would leave most of the timber here at the bottom for the stability, and do this in steps going down to the final thickness here. Once I'm at the final thickness or close to it, so I'll draw another profile here of the bowl, and once I get to the final profile, let's say this is 2mm thickness roughly, I would incorporate a little wedge like this for the, let's say, final 2 cuts, or maybe even last cut. And what I will do, once I get the thickness that I want here, then I would even out that wedge. Hope that makes sense. So you split it in half. Now you're almost getting all this portion here at the correct thickness, and then once you remove all this wedge, a little wedge here, and then you have a sort of a even thickness or close to it. That's at least the way I envision this, and how it helps me to get this job done nice and easy. And that is something that I do as well on every other portion. So let's say this portion here is now done, the correct thickness here, around 2mm. Then I move to this portion, and once I get this sort of a wedge here, this is all pretty much done. So all I have to do now is I even out this wedge maybe in 1 or 2 passes. So that's my take on this. You'll see that in action. What I do in terms of how to get this nice and thin, I use my hands, I listen for the sound of the wall thickness, and over time you can develop that sort of a sense, let's say. And now the light, a little torch will be a great addition. However, my light on the arm here is a bit like a dispersed light. I'm not sure if that's correct word, but a little flashlight or something that's a little bit more focused light would work great here. But again, I've done this so many times using just the feel as far as I can reach. Then from there I move to calipers, and calipers like this. This one is from GURTOOL. You can see this end is what measures, and on this side you have the scale. Let me just focus this. There we go. So you can see the scale here. And the goal for this ball, for this first step, is to get it roughly around 2 mil thickness. Even go a little less than 2 mil. I'll try to go with a little over 1 mil thickness, and I think that will be okay. And you'll see a little trick that I'll do on the outside to thin it down even more, and then probably I'm going to saw it in half or break it in half, and then you'll see the profile. So for the hollowing, I'm going to use this 1/2 inch diameter ball gouge, and first step is always to get I have a little bit more timber here. I'm just going to remove that. So you can see here, this is now roughly 3 mil thickness, and I want to split that in half. And this is that wedge, but this one is way bigger than it should be. But first of all, I want to get in maybe 1 inch and set the let's say the benchmark of thickness. And again, like I said, I'm going to split this in half. And follow up the outside curve. Now it's a little bit thicker as I'm going down inside. Now I actually should have sanded the outside a little bit because it's just a little bit more friction than I would like. So this is now pretty much even thickness, so roughly 1 inch in. You can see that's nicely cut, nice and thin, but we can double check with calipers. So here I'm a little less than 2 mil, and as I go here, actually a little bit thicker, so 1 mil thicker at the bottom. So I'll just even that out before I move any further in. And you want to do this fairly quickly because this is green timber. It's much easier to do this, especially if you're getting really thin, and especially if you're going to do what I will try to do later, which involves water. But you want to get this sort of as quick as you can, at least this thin portion down, because the wood will start to warp. One more pass. Even this out. You do not want to put too much pressure when you have a thin ball like this on the sides. on the side wall here. So here you can see the ridge. I hope you can see it here, the step, and I want to go through that step and again even up that little wedge. Okay, that's feeling quite good. It's actually a little bit thicker, so I'll just thin it down. Okay, I think that should be it. Let's just double check if my fingers are lying. Okay, so here I'm actually quite even, this portion, but here I'm actually 4 mil. So 2 mil roughly, I can thin it down. And you want to blend all that thickness, so I'll start somewhere halfway in. There we go. So now I can go slightly deeper in. So like I said, this will be sort of in a safe zone for first of all for this hollowing. I'll go a little less than 2 mil thickness, but I can thin it down from the outside a little bit more, and you'll see how. So again, I'm flattening that little wedge until I get to the correct thickness. Now the rim here is actually a little bit sharp, so I'll just sand it so I don't cut myself. As now I'm actually at the very end of my reach. Okay, that doesn't feel too bad. I can thin it down more. Again, I'm using my left hand to support the outside. I just want to remove this hump here. So again, I'm thinning it down. So you have to have sort of a, not sure how to explain this, peripheral vision, or not sure how. So I'm watching what's happening here with the gouge, but also sort of transferring where the gouge is to the outside relation. So hope that makes sense. It's really hard to explain this kind of stuff, especially when you do it manually without any gauge or lasers or anything like that. before I make the final pass, I just want to double check where I am, because I can't reach all the way down. So here I'm 7 mil, and at this portion I'm 3 mil. So that's that little wedge that I've mentioned, and I just want to flatten that. Still a little bit more. Now this gouge now is getting really too thin for this extension here, so I'll use this bigger one. Now I can get a little, I can drill out the center, and that will be actually pretty much all the way to the handle. So watching here from the side, and continue on. Just made that initial cut just to see where I am here. Okay, that's around 6 mil at this stage, and here I am 2 mil. So just so I know where I am. This ball gouge is again asymmetric grind, but with a little bit more of a blunter angle here. That will get me, because this ball is reversed curve, so or closed form ball, so the rim here is inward. So with my usual gouges, the angle of 45 or a little bit less, I'll be hitting the rim here. So this one will help get around that. Just want to double check this. Okay, here. So here I'm at correct thickness, and here I'm 5 mil. So I can thin it down roughly to 3 mil. Here from 0 to 3 mil. Okay, so now using scraper, thin this down a little bit, and just want to check where I am in terms of depth now. Okay, so I still have around a little over, actually 3/8. So you can see that's really thin, but let's make it thinner. So like I said, this is green ball. Now it's not your regular or typical green ball that you think of like freshly fallen timber. This is around 20% moisture in it, but want to thin it down even more. This is as far as I would go with tools, and this is roughly, like I said, a little less than 2 mil all the way around. But I can thin it down, and I will do that from the outside even more, but I want to finish the inside. And here I have just water, and I'm going to soak the ball in, and then I'm going to use, I think I have 400 grit wet and dry, and just going to give it a few rubs on the inside, and then we're going to finesse everything from the outside. What water will do as well is this will get a little bit more pliable, so it won't be as brittle until it dries out. Once it dries out, the thin stuff like this will get firm enough to be used. However, I want, like I said, thin this down even more. So here I have a 400 wet and dry. Just going to sand this, and I won't bother you with this. And this I'll soak it in water as well. The inside is now sanded, and you can see it's still wet, so it's a little bit darker color. And here I have a little wide rim rough out bowl, which I'm going to use for gem chuck. Now I already cut it to fit. So get it nice and easy. There we go. So that's nice and tight on it, shouldn't go anywhere. So the next step is to remove the foot here. Now what I've done before I put it on, I measured where the bottom is. So I have roughly maybe 4 mil beneath this line here, beneath this dot. And in terms of thickness, I double check this, so it's quite even halfway down, let's say, and it's slightly thicker. So 1 mil, it's thicker here. So here it's roughly 2 mil, 2.5 mil, and here is roughly 1.5 mil. So I have a rough idea where I am. Using spindle gouge. At the very bottom of the foot, I'm actually quite thin, so that will be my gauge in terms of thickness here. So for now, this is my bottom, and all I want to do now is blend from this point to this point, nice subtle curve. So you can see how thin I am here. It's trampoline, but here where the rim is supported with the gem chuck, you cannot press in. So you can see the benefit of using a gem chuck, especially in a situation like this. So now what I'll actually try to do is use a shear scraper just to blend this in. Just go lightly. I don't force the scraper in, just let it do its thing. So I'm just taking it nice and lightly. And blend this nicely. Let's go even thinner. Now we can tap again to hear the different tone. So it's still not ultra thin. You can thin it down even more. Here for the top portion, I'm going to use a spindle gouge. I've honed the right wing, so nice and easy. Get this nice and thin. Again, wet and dry sandpaper. Let's see if this will get off with the chisel. Not quite, so I think the ruler won't fit either. Should have made that recess a little bit bigger, so I'll just pound the chisel here on the side and just pry it off lightly. Oh, almost break it. It was a bit too aggressive. There we go. There we go. See after I break with chisel. Okay, so that's really thin. Now I have sanding dust all the way inside, so I'll just wipe it off with the rag. Here it is, you can see nicely done. And now just before I cut it in half, so we can really check how thin I went here. Now not sure if you can see it, but maybe you can see on this portion here how translucent it is. However, you can thin this down even more from the outside, as I've shown you, using maybe coarser grits. Just went with 400, that's all I had at the moment. But really you can thin this down safely using a jam chuck like this, because now the ball is relatively safe and nice and true from the rim here, and it's nice and stable. So why would you want to do something like this? There's numerous products like lampshades, or just you want to bend this to any shape or form you would like, then you would go thin like this. So, and also it's sort of a maybe ego thing, because you've done this and you've been here, so you know you can get this thin. So now I just cut it in half, and we'll see how thin it is. Okay, so I cut this in half, and now you see that I wasn't actually all that even, let's say. So let me just focus this. You can see this section is pretty okay, a little bit thicker here. But as I go down here it's actually a little bit thicker, and all the way to the bottom is again nice and even. So this little section here is just a little bit thicker. Now when I say a little bit thicker, this thickness here, let me just measure it. have veneer calipers here. So here at the very top we have 1.5 mil. You can see here, maybe a smidge less than that. And here at the thinnest point, that's close to 1 mil. And here where I'm the thickest, that's roughly less than 3 mil. And here at the very bottom of the bowl, I'm again 1.5 mil. So not too bad. I feel I could go a little bit thinner, or I should go a little bit thinner, especially from the outside, but I wasn't just quite sure in terms of thickness here. So what I should have done is pull it out, check it with the calipers, and then bring it back on the chuck and thin it down. I would go with the scrapers one more time, just to finesse this, or thin it down a little bit more, but overall not too bad. And now I have once this dries, I have two wall sort of a shelf. So you just attach this to a wall, and should be nice little containers. And please don't forget to watch, there will be links down below in the description from Sam, Mike, and the Richard's version as well. So hope you pick up a few of the safety things when doing thin stuff like this. You don't have to go crazy thin from the inside. Go just as thin as you dare to go, and just get a nice flowing curve, and then finish it from the outside where it's much safer when you have the bowl nicely on a jam chuck. So